I'm Corporal Advait Viraganta, and I'm in the 3rd SAF Transport Battalion.
Hi, I'm Lance Corporal Nikolai Anderson, currently working as Army Scout IC in Supply Base North, Eastern Camp.
Quinn, and right now my position is an officer in the Army under the Combat Engineer formation, and my job scope is mainly to plan the training and ops or operations aspects of my battalion or unit.
So my name's Kieran. I'm a corporal in SCDF, and I'm a firefighter at Changi Fire Station.
Okay, I'm Second Lieutenant Kyle Hunter. I am a platoon commander at 30th Singapore Combat Engineer Battalion, Charlie Company. Yeah, I am a combat engineer, so it's dealing with explosives, wire obstacles, minefields, and other such things in warfare.
Okay, so my name is Joshua. I'm a third sergeant, so Third Sergeant Joshua. So I'm a trainer, a section trainer in this unit called IDTW, Island Defense Training Wing. It's part of IDTI, which is the Island Defense Training Institute. And mainly my job scope is to train the security troopers of the SAF. Security troopers mainly are the ones who you would see guarding the KINs, the camps, the bases of the SAF, the ones who are doing guard duty, patrolling, and the ones you meet when you first enter into a camp. So those are the guys that I train. It's about like a 2-month course called the Security Trooper Combat Course, and yeah, I train the security troopers there.
So physically, for a bit, I trained with one of the trainers here at school, just to train for my IPPT. And then mentally, I kind of told myself, like whatever happens. I can't really do anything about it, and trying to really have a positive mindset for NS, and I think that really helped a lot.
Obviously, there was the pre-enlisted IPPT, and obviously, being in the Army, there's a lot of physical training involved. So me and a lot of my friends who went to NS kind of knew that we need to be physically fit. So we did do a lot of like personal training in terms of running, because we did know that running was a big segment of the IPPT. Also, one of our school gym coordinators, his name's Sol, we did like a little a little training program with him that he tailored for me and a couple of the other guys, because he's a friend of ours, which was really nice because he himself has been through that experience, so he kind of knew what to expect. That's physically. Emotionally, it was you can't really like stop yourself from going to Reddit and reading up about people's experiences, but also talking to the people I knew in NS. That's kind of just how I got to know what would happen. Yeah.
I anticipated that BMT would be quite a challenge with being away from family for an extended period of time, but I looked at it as a test of adaptability and resilience because that's what it inherently was. I didn't expect it to be so immersive. I think it helped that I went into a company that had a lot of fellow students from this international school as well as others around Singapore. So having them to touch base with every now and then while also integrating with the local guys really did ease the transition for me.
BMT, I really loved BMT. My company had a great culture. I was at Bronco Company, and we had a great culture there. It wasn't so much about takan and punishment, but it was about learning as well and making good relationships. And I know I got a better experience than a lot of people. Also, I had a lot of friends from school also in the same company, so it was good to see some familiar faces. But yeah, my company had a great time in BMT.
I would encourage him to be more confident and outspoken. Looking back at pre-BMT me, I was really active in the communities where I knew I was proficient, but not so much in others where I think I could have grown a lot more. Besides that, like I said before, I think just making sure that there was an existing sense of regimentation as far as physical training went before BMT. I think having had that would have made the ramp up in training once I enlisted slightly less steep.
My dad, so I was in a pretty rough space in OCS at one point, and my dad, he gave me this great advice. He said, control what you can control, and what you can't is just, you can't control it. So that's probably the advice I'd give to myself. Control what you can control, and if things get out of hand, just, try and keep a lid on it as much as you can for what you can do.
Pre-enlisting into NS, I was very nervous. And I was very scared because I didn't know what it was like. And though, being in the army, it sounds like really cool and stuff, even as a kid growing up, you hear, oh, you're going to the army, like that sounds cool. But realistically, I knew that it would be a tough job. So I think, after, having done nearly 2 years now, I'll probably tell my pre-enlisted self to not worry too much, because at the end of the day, being a soldier, it means a lot in one aspect, but it's also a job for us, and to kind of just treat it as your next job, which is something that I did, and I thought it was, I know it's a lot more different than how it turned out to be.
Definitely become more responsible about my actions and like how it relates to other people in the unit. Like I understand that now I'm working with a team, and my actions directly impact other people in my unit, so gotta be responsible and take responsibility of the actions.
Through the experience, definitely, I would recommend going to command school, because it would generally shape a lot of aspects or like features that you didn't necessarily focus on in high school. But even if you don't go command school, generally one of the biggest takeaways I have from NS is the bonds that I've built, because even now, one of my best friend that I found within NS has been my day one friend since BMT, and he's followed me all the way, and he's still currently in the same unit that I am.
I'd say I was given the opportunity to be a leader amongst men in the military, and I think that with that there comes a lot of things you do learn. I learned a lot about working with different people. I learned a lot about leading men. These things stray away from, I could say I learned a lot about how to clear a minefield, how to build this, how to build that. But I think the biggest thing I took away from it was working with people and leading people. I got the opportunity to do that, so that's what I took away from it.
I applied during my grade 12 year of high school, and I was successfully admitted into my early decision college. Some of my friends have been applying during NS, and they've been writing essays in their free time, so it hasn't been a big time crunch that way. But I would say the only disadvantage is that it does cut you off a lot from the resources and tools that are available to you while you're still in school.
So once I finish NS, I will be applying to Australia. So once I finish, I'll send in my applications towards the end of this year and go in the beginning of 2023.
So my plan, because I had already started university applications prior to enlisting, I took the period between OCS and BMT, because there's usually a 1 week break after you finish your BMT, and I just worked on my applications and I sent it through to UCAS.
So I applied my first year of NS, and I think that really helped me mentally, because once I got into university and I deferred, it kind of took my mind off a lot of things, and it kind of having a secure spot, knowing that you're gonna be somewhere after NS, it really it's just takes a load off a lot of things.
I've been accepted to 4 unis in Canada: Queens, Western, Toronto, and UBC. And I plan on going to UBC, although I haven't made my choice yet.
So I'm going to Australia, which means that you kind of apply right before you go in, and there's very little application process. There's no essays that you need to write or anything like that. It's just submitting the application. So in that sense, it's really simple, and I haven't really had to think about it even before or during most of my NS life. It's only kind of near the end of my NS life where I am now kind of, going over the options of my applications. So in that sense, going to Australia, it's very very simple.